We got a hot one for you. This one's gonna be fire.
Vibing over there, JJ.
Fuego. What's up, my man?
You're bringing all the energy. Enough for both of us.
Hey, what's up, G? Nice to see you, my man.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm really well, JJ. How's things with you over in Texas?
Fresh on the scene, so fresh and so clean. I'm doing all right, my man.
Right, you've got too much energy for me already. So this is going to be like a 30-second episode.
Okay, let's go.
No, welcome back, everybody. Another episode of the Digital Ramble with Kris Gamble and JJ Canon.
Yeah, friends, welcome. Oh, that was a sharp edit there. JJ Canon, Digital Delight here in Houston, Texas. You can find us at digitaldelight.com, where less is more. Less boxes, less wires, more reliability, easier to use. Buddy can enjoy a system. You need to enjoy a system when it comes to smart home tech. Gamble and I, we have found the way. And thanks for enjoying our shows over the past 173 episodes. And for those that are new to the show, you can check us out at digitalrambleshow.com. Check out all our previous episodes.
Yeah, our website's actually a great place to find all the episodes, but you'll also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. And JJ and I, before the show, were looking at our Facebook analytics and insights, and we're hugely appreciative of the Facebook community that likes, shares, and supports and comments on our posts. It really does give us a boost when we see the reaction to our videos.
Yep. You know, highlights, tricks of the trade, recording of voices, and Marco Polo have been things that we talked on our previous episodes. And, you know, something that we're going to be talking about this episode is a little bit harking back on our previous episodes, but we're going to be really starting to break down the importance of setting the scene and setting the framework for a scene in your smart home.
Yeah, we feel that to help you continue to understand the scene blueprint, the framework, we're going to lift the lid on our own businesses, dig into the brands and the platforms that we're choosing for our customers, that we're delivering in homes every day, every week, every year. These are things we've been consistently doing for a number of years as home tech pros. We're going to lift the lid and you're going to see inside what we're choosing to deliver that home tech experience.
That's right. And so let's break it down. Let's define each one of these 5 pillars. And so when we're talking about scene, we're talking about the letters. It's an acronym, S.C.E.N.E. S, security. You know, we're talking about advanced securities. There are so many ways that you can secure your property with surveillance cameras, alarms, sensors. Cybersecurity is like super duper crucial, you know, in our space. But yeah, yes, security.
Next up is communication. That is the C in scene. And communication is a new term that we're wanting to encourage people to use and understand. That's communication between products, how you're interacting with your home, whether that's voice commands, app control, gesture control. It could be just your presence on a sensor or a trigger from a schedule. It's how your devices are receiving their commands.
Yes, sir. Environment is lighting. It's window treatments that's controlling that environmental lighting. It's climate control in that environment. But some of the key factors to a smart home these days is air quality and air purification. Also, something that's becoming extremely dear to my heart is water purification and clean water. I have a 270-foot well, and I am concerned about the quality of that water. And so having clean water in our environment is crucial. Part of the scene, baby, part of the scene.
Very important. And equally as important is the network. We talk about it being the foundation. That is your wired and wireless networking. That is your incoming internet provider. That's your backup internet if you need it. That's the delivery of all the communication, whether that's wired or wireless, whether it's for a laptop or whether it's a sensor talking to the light switch. All those paths of communication are wrapped up in the network. It's the foundation.
Foundation can't do nothing without it. You must have. Do not go past go without having a good network. Make sure your home tech pro knows how to get you a good network. I mean, that's like step one, period. You know what you're talking about, network? Last, the last E. This is where we really started our whole industry. It was in the entertainment, you know, and these other four pillars of the scene are really germinated out of entertainment. And entertainment, we're talking about visual, your traditional television, your theater rooms, your media rooms, the audio that goes around, your environment. And we can invest either in one room or we can do the whole house or patios for entertainment or really impactful spaces for having really good audio and video and streaming and just really cool entertainment spaces. Game rooms, man, we're doing some incredible game rooms right now, G.
Now, you guys have got that. The AV industry is so strong. When I visit the expo, I hear all the stories of these great audio visual installations, and the scene is much smaller in the UK for that, but it is the roots of the industry. It's where we all cut our teeth and became these home tech experts. A lot of the origin story is in AV. It's still associated with the industry as the AV industry. I'd like to see that scaled back a bit. I think it's our heritage, but I don't think it's our future.
No, definitely not. I think it's an easy stepping stone. I was like a lot of guys in car audio and
Okay.
just naturally, organically grew into, the home audio aspects of things because I loved it. I love the industry. I am so excited about our industry because it's fun. Every day, Jay, we're creating something new and we're getting a wow at every house. We're getting a wow. We got another really cool review today. Our team is
I
just out
saw
there
that.
crushing it. And man, I love seeing that love, given back to my team because they work really hard to deliver good quality systems. Well, shout out to my guys, brothers in the
I did
field.
see that review and it was very nice to read, and you could tell it was honest and straight from a happy customer for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we're talking about our teams, we're talking about our customers. What are we delivering for our customers? What are our go-to brands to set the scene for the customers? What are we using? And first category, the first pillar is security. People that follow Customized on social media will see what we use. But for our audience, we are big in the UniFi platform of products. UniFi have a full suite of networked solutions, whether that's VoIP, whether that's Wi-Fi, whether that's their switches, their routers. But for security, we were able to access their Protect and their Access platforms. These are two platforms you can run on your UniFi controller, a full-blown CCTV security system and a full-blown access control system. So on the cameras, you'll have a network video recorder with storage built in. That could be 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, all the way up to hundreds of terabytes. They have a different size recorder for different size systems. In a typical residential systems for us, 6 cameras, 8 terabytes of storage, maybe a mirrored hard drive with another 8 terabytes. That's going to handle 6 4K cameras. We choose from the UniFi Protect AI cameras. That's giving us facial recognition, number plate recognition, motion detection, crossing lines, areas of interest. It can even create, crime reports. It can give you custom alerts for different people that enter the space. So on the cameras, they've got a camera for every type of installation, whether that's discrete, whether that's, that needs long distance zoom or needs to be vandal resistant. So there's a camera for every application. And then when we cross over to controlling access to the property, we plug into UniFi access, where you've got a gate intercom, you've got indoor viewing stations where you can get the alerts and see who's at the property. And then we can have keypads for entry and exit. We can have integration with Apple Wallet. For me, this is something that they don't shout about enough. But if you're in the Apple ecosystem like I am and the majority of our customers, to be able to send a visitor an Apple Wallet invitation and they can just hold up their phone with the QR code to your gate and enter the property at the scheduled time that you invited them, that is next level home security. If you're integrating with Apple Wallet, you're just in a different level from anyone else on the street.
UniFi had an amazing booth over at Cedia, and I was hyperly impressed with all the different types of solutions and interconnectivity offerings that they have. And starting from a network firm, what I understood them to be a network firm, and seeing them to grow into camera access and then alarm access and door access and then on-site storage is extremely impressive, and they do have quite a suite of solutions for security. The one that I love, Gamble, is a collaboration, and I'm all about collaborating and manufacturers that work well together. And this is really where your home tech pro comes into play. And the reason that Gamble and I are really focusing and exposing these manufacturers that we work with on a daily basis is because when we were at Cedia, we were teaching a course on the 5 brand blueprint, which is where this whole scene thing came from. And talking about our different brands. And so the brands that I went with security, and we look at security a little bit different. Of course, everybody a go-to for security is your traditional alarm system and some security cameras and things like that. But what we do here in the Houston area is we're doing a lot of integration of lighting solutions with our motion sensors that are on cameras. And Ring is a fantastic companion of Lutron Caseta or the other RAW 2 solution, RAW 2 Select, that Lutron offers. Both of those are app-based Lutron systems, and that's why they integrate with the Lutron Caseta, with the Ring security camera solution. And what we love about it, Gamble, is that you can assign different cameras to different lights around your home, as well as set them up for different modes and times when these triggers are set off and functioning in your home. And so, like out at my farm, I love it that whenever somebody approaches my front gate of the house, I have several lights that popcorn on around the exterior of my property, so that it signifies that somebody is there, and that, hey, I need to be alert. Or if I'm the one that's driving up at night, I'm never driving up to a dark environment. Now, also for security, you can use geofencing, and so you don't necessarily need to use motion sensors on camera. But geofencing is also a really cool way to manage your security of lighting, if you like. And geofencing is, if I come or if I exit within a certain parameter or distance radius of where the system is, it'll trigger some kind of an event. And I always like making sure that my clients are coming home to a well lit environment, so people can either leave if they need to, or whenever I show up, I can see everything, or my family can see everything they need to do, and feel a lot more secure driving up to their home with a well lit area. That's what I like about security.
I love it. It's that, simplification is the new integration. And when you talk about Ring and Lutron partnering at manufacturing level, it just lifts all that pressure off you as an integrator, that they've done all the legwork and they've made the integration happen, that you're just enabling it, drop down menus, and that's it. Just set it and forget it.
It is a very much a set it and forget it. And the flexibility of both products is what makes it even that. The flexibility of the manufacturer device choices that you have,
Yes.
to fit a variety of solutions, and combined with the reliability of both of those manufacturer products, and then the support, whenever, you might need it. It's tech. We need support sometimes. But the combination of is very powerful, very powerful.
Okay, moving on to communication, the C in scene. For me, a big part of our customer handover, especially when we do the Lutron system, because it's a system that's controlling all your lights, your window treatments, and the use of sensors for triggering that. I spend a lot of time with the customers in the Lutron app in one tab, and that's schedules. I spend a lot of time there because you can build up routines, habits in the schedules tab where your Lutron system, your hub of the Lutron system, will talk to the lights, will talk to the shades, will talk to the sensors, so that things will happen without you even interacting. And that is part of communication, that if you can load your system up with at sunset, turn on the front garden spike lights. At 10 minutes after sunset, turn on the island pendants in the kitchen. 8 p.m., turn on the night lights in the kids' bedrooms. At 9 p.m., dim the living room lights to 15%. At 10 p.m., turn off the outdoor lights. You're getting the gist here. If you load it with your personalized information, you truly are living in a smart home where things are happening when you're not having to interact with it, but they're happening with your preferences, your seasonal changes to lights, your enhancements of outdoor security, making spaces more comfortable inside, and making things predictable for your kids at bedtime. Little changes to your lights prompts you to think, "Oh, I best get ready for bed," or it's time to go to work because the shades are opening in the downstairs rooms. That means we're going to school, we're going to work. So scheduling lights and shades is so powerful. Honestly, if somebody else is in the house, like a visitor, and they see that happening, instant street cred. Instant.
Man, I love setting schedules. Schedules is a beautiful thing. It is truly a set and forget type of solution. And with lighting and window treatments, it's great. I use the schedules for my shades, and I have some windows in my properties that the sun is just right there, like, hello, JJ, and just screaming at me. And it's like sucking every ounce of cool energy out of my house that it possibly can. And dude, I just sit back, Gamble, and I just hit the button on my Pico, and the shades drop down. I don't even hear nothing. The sun don't even know it's coming. The sun don't even know what I'm doing until it's too late. And the shades just, you hear this? You don't hear nothing, do you? That's a Lutron shade right there. All right, it's all the way down. And dude, before you know it, it drops the temperature in my home like almost instantly a couple of degrees. I drop a shear. It's not a blackout. I can still see through it because I like a little perforation, in my shade. I still want to see my goats out in the field. I love seeing my goats and my rams. And I don't want to block that from what I'm checking out. And so, yeah, having some good shades is great. And so we're kind of jumping on environment and communication, but I want to touch back on communication and really the kind of evolution of communication. And it started with remotes, the one remotes. Manufacturers that are making remotes, could you just make us a giant remote with giant buttons on it? Just a big one. It doesn't need a screen. It just needs giant buttons. If we're going to make a giant remote, just make one with and numbers. Even if we don't use numbers anymore, clients love numbers. So just put and backlit and we're good. We started with remotes, and then we started going to phones and using phones to communicate with devices. And then we went to iPads and then the minis, and then we came out with one of my favorite interfaces, which is voice commands and being able to speak commands and communicate to your devices that way. And then sensors is where we're at now. But dude, one of the hottest things that was on the showroom floor this year is the simplicity, the ease of creating scenes through voice. And Josh AI really has a lock on it right now. And we shared a little bit about it last week, but just the simplicity of setting up and communicating with your devices on what you want it to do through natural language, and then being able to confirm that your device is through text. So as you're speaking into your phone and you're saying, do this, that, and the other, you can see it say, hey, do this, that, and the other, and then hit send, and it'll run this, that, and the other scene every day at 4 to 5 or whatever time you want it to run, for as long as you want it to run. I mean, it's just the simplicity of communicating with your devices is just got so much easier. Yeah. And so communication has definitely evolved, and I think it will continue to evolve through sensors and spatial awareness. I think our network, our Wi-Fi signals in our house will start being able to create communications with different devices. So yeah. Yeah. And then, part of that communication we were talking, I dove into it a little bit. I got a little winded with environment, with shades and stuff like that, and how window treatment really is impactful to your environment. And the other thing is climate control.
Now, managing the temperature in a property is front of mind this time of year in the UK. People are starting to turn on their heating systems. Things are getting a bit colder, and we see it in our service requests from customers. Hey, Kris, I've forgotten how to use my heating app, or hey, Kris, how do I change the schedule on the hot water timings? So if you can put in a system where you've got zonal control of your heating, and that's individual temperatures in each space dictating the climate of each space, that gives you a much more just much more comfort in spaces where you might want to sleep and keep it cooler. You might want some warmth where, in a workspace, so that you're not, when you're stationary, you don't want a cold room. But if you can manage the climate so that there's not astronomical bills, you're not overheating a space, you can set that up with dates and times. And another feature I like with a climate system is you can tell it when you go on holiday, you can tell it when you're returning, you can interact with it remotely, that if you want to boost the hot water, or you want to get and this is front of mind for people with a second home. You want to get that home warmed up before you hit the road for the journey up to the house. Make sure there's enough hot water for baths and showers. So a climate system for energy management, comfort for spaces, but also making sure things aren't running differently in different spaces. You don't want one temperature for the whole house. You might have preferences for different temperatures in different rooms.
Environment also is water treatment, and the importance of making sure you have clean water. One thing that I'm doing is I'm having a third party send me a test kit and test out my water and try, see what the purification content is. And then from that, I'm able to have a water filtration system built specifically for my needs. And, it should be clean. It should be built to where the smell is of purity, as well as should be as good as, drinking water. I'm pretty excited about getting I've never had a water filtration system. I think this takes a couple of different, different properties of maintenance to run it on an annual basis, but I'll definitely be talking about it here. That's for sure.
Within my family, there's always been conversations that my grandfather and his father lived so long because of the water that they drank at the farmhouse was straight from the mountain. It didn't go through any filtration other than the the the
Oxy
stream running
the
down the hill.
oxygenation it was doing as it trickled down.
Yeah. And my grandfather, 101 years old, still active until till the last day, and we always credit it to the water. And when they changed the supply to the farm, all of us commented that it wasn't the same. It just didn't have the same color and the taste. If you can monitor your water and test it, and I think we know it's it's vital for us to operate. So if you can give yourself the best water quality, well worth investing in.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of manufacturers in our space that I've read some articles about that are really into not only water purification but also air quality purification. And I think those are really interesting conversations worth exploring even deeper. And G, one of the things that I think is so crucial in this tech world that we evolve in is biophilic design. I really think that we should always have that part of our environment seen so that we are not just overwhelmed with, blinky lights and frequencies. I think it needs to have a healthy balance of, having some vegetation in your spaces.
No, you're right. And just to circle back, because I didn't mention, but for our climate control for customized, we use Heat Miser, a
Yeah.
very popular brand in the UK. Heat Miser, their thermostats, their hot water schedulers. They do an air conditioning controller now, and they do air sensors so that you can gather temperature points from multiple parts of a room, not just where the thermostat is. You can have air probes monitoring to give you a total average of a space, which I think is really efficient in open plan living now. I don't think we did, but they always hard to get hold of their products in the different finishes, like in black and silver. It's always white, and if I'm trying to do black keypads, I want the black thermostats. It's not always easy to get, but we always make sure we get them for our clients.
Gee, communicating with those thermostats is important, and we use the network in order to do that. Planning for the network, particularly in a new home build, is crucial, and making sure that you have the appropriate infrastructure for the network of today, but also for the network of tomorrow. I mean, a lot of what we are seeing is like 10 gigabit networks, and well, the ability for 10 gigabit networks to come online. So we're seeing infrastructure available. It was coax when we started, and then it went to Cat 5 and then Cat 6. And depending on how tight the conductors were twisted together, and if there was a core in there to separate the conductors, it would increase the speed. But now, really going forward, we're looking at fiber in a lot of homes, and we're seeing at least fiber to the house. And we're communicating with clients that they have like a garden house or a separate pool house or something along those lines, that it's important that we run fiber from the main house to that secondary home. Or if they have an entertainment space like a gaming facility or a gaming station area, running fiber there because uptime is crucial. Or even in their main theater or main viewing area, just access to content is going to be crucial. And everybody's like, Jay, I mean, my videos, Netflix is like right there. Why do I need 10 gigabit? What is the purpose of having so much speed? And really it's going to be in quality. And that's where we're going to see a giant step up. It's going to be speed for sure, but it's going to be in resolution of video quality as well as in audio, and how we communicate. Your television, and go ahead, you add your 2 cents to network, because I'm going to transition into entertainment here when I start talking about this television.
Well, what I will say just on fiber, it's all very well having fiber to the home. Why not fiber in the home? Why does it have to stop at that, the internet provider's box? If you can then deliver fiber to other parts of the property, please consider that. There are limitations of copper cabling. There will be a crossover. If you go into certain distances, you have to go fiber. Yes, you can do these wireless links point to point. For me, they're just riddled with potential dropouts, obstructions, equipment being powered off. Fiber around large properties is essential, and it's one that we do every day in our projects and recommend it. In terms of networking, we're now pushing Wi-Fi 7 as a standard this is what we're proposing. People might want to roll back to Wi-Fi 6, but we're huge advocates of Wi-Fi 7. And again, using UniFi, all the different access point types for indoor, outdoor, high capacity, ceiling mounted, wall mounted, all the different types of access points. That will deliver these high speed Wi-Fi. It will also deliver the Wi-Fi uncongested and not, 2.4 gigahertz, get that out of the house now. I don't want to see that on networks. It's an awful spectrum to deal with. The 5 and the 6 gigahertz, that's where we're at now, and we're delivering that with UniFi with high reliability and great performance.
Yeah, for us, Gamble, we are using the eero solution for our network solutions, and it's been our go-to for 8 years at least, I guess. We've been on the eero bandwagon before they were cool, and their ease of use with their app, the access to security for protecting your network, for understanding what devices are connected to the network, if they're hardwired or if they're wireless. eero just makes a very easy to use solution that you can, that the common man and lady can interpret real quickly. I also like that they can set up their, if there's certain areas that you need to set up some restrictions on your wireless network, you can easily do that through their app as well. And we were joking about entertainment and TVs, and like, because in our entertainment area, we always talk about televisions and audio and big speakers and awesome audio. And man, I just wish that Samsung would just come out with like an 85-inch SG85 TV, and I just had a giant phone on my wall. Samsung, if you can hear me, I'll take a G85-inch phone TV today.
So they
Yeah,
might hear that
Samsung is
request.
fantastic, man. I love Samsung. They make a really good product, a variety of different models. What I really like and what got me going with those guys is that the access to all the apps out of the box. You don't have to have any secret codes to access any, apps that might be in there. They're just ready to rock and roll out of the box. And they play really friendly with a variety of different manufacturers that you can have access to different things. And yeah, I like Samsung's for our video viewing pleasure, and for audio, Sonos, man. Sonos is a go-to for us. We love pairing their in-ceiling speakers with their Sonos amps and running true play on it and calibrating it for that environment, for that room. And the simplicity of that pairing, it's just elegance, man. It's how entertainment should be enjoyed. Pick up the stinking remote, turn on the TV, bada bing, bada boom, start streaming, zero inputs. Yeah. That simple entertainment, man. It's heavy on the scene.
We're identical to your entertainment offerings. We're big fans of Samsung TVs, in particular the frame televisions. And when you talk about apps, one of the nicest apps is where you go in and you can choose your artwork. You can purchase collections. You can choose from the free available artwork that's there. And to have your television, when you're finished watching sport or just general television, to turn it off, but it doesn't go off. It just fades into some artwork. The ambient light changes, and it just mimics, real art on the wall, but through your television. And with the improvement in the Samsung frame with that matte finish,
Oh,
makes
so
it
fun.
look so natural. And it's starting to make people question if it's a TV. So that's how good it's got. And if you can discreetly hide the audio, and this is why we're fans and why we use them, is Leon. Leon make the most beautiful furniture and accessories for your television and your audio installations where you can conceal speakers. You can hide your products behind artwork, behind a printed screen or fabric covers. If you've got these new video walls now with that edges that never look good, there's something that still looks unfinished around the edges of video walls, certainly on the lower budget video walls. When you can wrap it with a Leon product and it just looks like it's handcrafted screen with surround, it's just, again, the little touches. That's what is custom installation. That's what's customized. So look for Leon, look for that as a request. If you're a homeowner and you want that extra style factor around your television and audio installation, ask for something like Leon. Ask for Samsung frame instead of Samsung normal. Say, no, we want frames throughout. And if you want different frames attached to it, you can get different colors, different wood finishes. And if you want to go bespoke, that's where Leon can elevate even the Samsung frame to truly make it a frame with a very decorative style frame for your decor. So look for those enhancements to your AV installation.
Setting the scene really helps us paint a picture of budget. This is the true practice of what the importance of setting the scene is, and because not a long, a lot of people are like, man, this all sounds great, but golly, how much is something like that? And the cool thing about setting a scene and having a scene setter present, a home tech pro, somebody that knows how to set the scene correctly, you can construct a really educated budget by saying, all right, let's go over the different security options that we have available to us. Let's talk about how I'm going to start communicating with all these stinking devices. And depending on what your format of your house, you can really construct a budget. And a budget is as minimal as you can be and as expansive as it possibly is. But it allows us to understand what your needs are through the entire project, and build according to your needs to really understand what that budget might be.
Yeah, and your home tech pro should be categorizing it into the pillars. How much is my home network going to cost? Typical family home, it's not unrealistic that you'd be looking to spend 2,000 to 3,000 UK pounds. That's not excessive. That could be on top of all the wiring you've had, but I think that's part of your electrical package. I would highly encourage you to get your electricians involved in the cabling so that they're future readying your home. Yes, we're going to design the cabling, but we're going to get that cable pulling expertise of the electrician to deliver it. Then we're going to attach the network to it. Again, 2,000 to 3,000 pounds is not unrealistic for a 4-bedroom home. Then you've got your lighting system. When you're in the Caseta Ratu Select world, one room might be 400, 500, 600 pounds. 2 rooms, 1,200, 1,500, depending on how many accessories, depending on how many light circuits. A whole house, you might be touching that £10,000 figure, but then discuss what's important. This room isn't important. That room is. Okay, put traditional switches here. You can retrofit it later. If you want to have a £5,000 budget, so be it. Your Home Tech Pro will tailor the system to suit your budgets, but should be showing you a pathway to add it to other rooms later. And that's all your chosen brands should have this expansion. One zone of music can become 3 or 4 in the future. One room of lighting control can be throughout the whole house. You have to choose the right system at the start.
Yeah,
If
that
Caseta has a device limit, you have to rule it out. If it doesn't have enough devices for the future, rule it out.
that's the cool thing about setting the scene from the jump gamble is that it doesn't have to be everything at once. But if you design your scene correctly, you can add as you go. You can start with you can see the big picture of the scene for your entire home and then scale it as you're ready to go. Like I am ready to do the security aspect of my home. or I'm ready to do the network aspect of it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, network is always going to be part of what we do. It just has to be. It's just part of it. But yeah, a variety of different prices. And man, you're right on the head. Hitting the nail on the head with those prices. That's right where we're at, right in line with all those. And just depending on your area, is what your pricing can be. And yeah, a lot of different flavors, especially when it comes to lighting. Lighting's just so many wonderful options to choose from. Gene, you know what? Gene, G, you know what?
Go for it.
G, you know what? I was thinking, as we're talking through this, and I think I got something. Let me see. Hopefully I can do this correctly. Hopefully I see. Can I do
Drum
this?
roll.
Drum roll, please.
Here we go.
I'm a scene setter is a never forgetta. A scene setter is better than feta. A scene setter is wise spent cheddar. Never forget a scene setter. I don't know. Maybe that'll work.
That was great, JJ. That is,
I tried.
I just,
Maybe next episode. I'll nail it.
that time spent driving to these jobs, I know you're coming up with these ideas for the show. I didn't know you were coming up with a rap, a TDR
And a
rap.
costume. And a costume. The whole thing.
There must have been something in the water today. You need to get it tested.
There's always something in the water. Always something in the water. What I'm trying to get to is the importance for setting the scene of your home and making sure that you're covering all aspects. If you're designing a house, if it's important enough to choose the type of wood that you're putting in the house and the type of color of paint or the textiles that you're putting on the walls, or the type of fixture that you're going to be, putting your illuminant in, the behind the scenes ingredients, which is the tech, it's the glue that binds all this cool stuff together. I mean, it really, brings it all together in a home. And that's why I sit in my car and I try to think of things like this of how can I communicate, the why, why do I like this stuff so much, man? Because it does a lot, it really helps change the scene. Yeah. That's my little, rap. But this segment is really about Canon Fire. And one of the things that I want to talk about in my, run of the Canon Fire, G, is, like that Samsung television I'm talking about and the apps that are all available. One of the apps that you can put in there or access is your Alexa app. And if you set up in the Alexa app on your phone, the Ring app, it will allow you to then view your Ring cameras on your Samsung television, which means that any television in your house that is a more current model Samsung, probably last 3 years, I believe, is where we're at, for the processing power. But you can download the Alexa app, access, input your username and password, and see all of your Ring cameras that you have, in all of your different properties right now. I have the ability to look at 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16. I have 18 Ring cameras that I am able to look at 4 different properties, and that kind of flexibility just is not available in your traditional Matrix NVR solutions. And so the impact of seeing some really cool, affordable, accessible cameras in any room, and when I mean accessible cameras that you can easily acquire, you can then set it up on your television to see on any television you have in your house that has a Samsung television. It's a less is more approach. It's a very intelligent approach. That's my gamble ramble Canon Fire.
I love it because people dismiss what they term as a DIY product or like a lower end product. But I feel that these systems are pushing the traditional manufacturers. They're not pushing them to improve. They're pushing them off the edge of the cliff. They're killing them. These features, they can't keep up with the bright minds at companies like Ring and the budgets they've got behind them. The traditional is being phased out, is just being sent out to pasture. They cannot keep up with the innovation of these brands now.
It makes it very difficult. I think one of the conversations we had on the floor, G, is why is that NVR app still looking like that?
Exactly.
Why has nobody, it's an obvious question. Why has nobody improved the app that you're looking at on your traditional recording systems? I mean, it's an
I'll
easy.
tell you why, because they're all coming out of the same factory or development spot, typically in the East,
Yeah,
where they're just rebadging some old interface, which is rotten. Go with something that's been redesigned designed from
invest.
the ground up, customer centric, focused on you as the homeowner. Ditch all that out of date junk, really. And that's into my ramble, because call time on that old tech, that tired interfaces, those faded cameras, the gate that doesn't alert you on your phone, all the things that frustrate you. Sit down with a Home Tech Pro, give them your hit list of what's frustrating you, and one by one, that Home Tech Pro will come up with a plan to phase out the old tech, bring in the new, with a continuity across all your products. This is why we choose things like UniFi, so you have that consistent one login for your alarm, your security, your access control, your network, your VoIP. One login. Come on. Like, this is where we wanted things to go. It's there. So sit with your pro, discuss the old tech that needs to be turned off. That's it. Done. And then just build the plan for the next 10 years for your home, the next 15 years for your home. And your Home Tech Pro will guide you through the next phase of your home's connection.
This is part of our Q&A. We're really developing this show. We are trying, gamblers, digital ramblers. We're going to have to do a lot of editing on this show, aren't we?
AI will.
This is part of this overproduced show where we take listeners' questions and we give them our answers.
These are questions that people have sent in, direct messages on social media, comments left on videos, and emails to the show. Remember, it's digitalrambleshow@gmail.com. First question, JJ.
Yeah. What's the difference between PoE plus, and PoE plus plus? And power, baby. It's all about the power.
How much juice?
Yeah. So, whenever, and what is PoE? PoE is power over Ethernet. And Ethernet is that it looks like that telephone cable, but it's wider. And that's the Ethernet cable. And that's the Ethernet cable that connects all your devices that are hardwired to the network. And in order to get that power into that wire that then powers that device at the end. And what's cool about it is you don't have to let's say you have a camera at the end of this data wire, network wire. In the past, you get the internet to it, and then you have to plug in a power cord and find an electrical outlet. And that really defeats the whole purpose of security, and just looked clunky, and trying to conceal it all was a pain in the butt. And so some genius came up with the idea of putting electricity and low volt, because these devices are all low voltage. They can run on very low watts. And so some genius came up with the idea of sending some watts down an Ethernet cable and powering the device at the end of this cable. And when it first came out, it was like at 15.4 watts, and that's where the whole PoE came out. It was like IEEE 802.3 AF. I don't know what the AF stands for, but that's what it was. and it provided up to 15.4 watts of power per port. And so like you'll have a network switch, and you come, all right, here's, I like talking about signal flow. Okay. And so you have your internet service provider, and they'll provide fiber optic into a router or a modem, or router and modem that they provide. And let's just say they provide it. Most of them provide it. Here in the States, they provide it. Optical into this modem router, out of that modem router into your network switch. That network switch, specific type of network switch. It's not all network switches. There's a variety of different network switches. But particular types of network switches can output low voltage power over Ethernet that then can send the power down the wire to that device down at the end and power it on. And the basic one, the startup one, was PoE, 15.4 watts.
And that satisfied devices at that time, and still satisfies the majority of devices. For example, a simple CCTV camera might only consume 4 or 5 watts of power. So PoE is what it needs. When you start to use cameras that have pan tilt zoom, or it's to power a hub, then that's where you push up to PoE plus. And 15 watts was PoE. Double it for PoE plus, you got 30 watts per port. And if you want to go PoE plus plus, which again is for bigger devices, things that are maybe also sending out PoE beyond that product. So you could give something PoE plus plus, and then it might have the capability of sending out PoE to 3 or 4 more devices. P++ would give you 60 watts. And there is a PoE+++, which is more proprietary to UniFi, where that's where you're starting to see that 100 watts starting to be touched. But that's something that's more proprietary to manufacturers. But it's out there, it's coming, and there's a need for it as devices get hungrier for power.
That was a good question. And I also passed that information along to my team because, what is it? And it's always good to know and keep freshened up. The other question, Gamble, that we got was, what are the benefits of having a guest network on your Wi-Fi? Just because you have Wi-Fi, isn't that good enough?
No, and this touches on the two of our pillars with security and network. You're going to have a lot of sensitive devices attached to your network. That could be, we talked about CCTV recorders, it could be network hard drives, it could be printers, music systems, all sorts of devices on your network which are personal to you. You'll have your Wi-Fi network that you and your family members and your trusted visitors use. But a less frequent visitor, you should be pushing them onto a Wi-Fi network that's reserved for guests. That's an isolated network where they cannot see your devices. They cannot even see their 2 devices. So their laptop and their phone are isolated. Now, that might not be convenient for them, but for somebody that's just visiting as a guest, that should be adequate, that they've connected to your network, they can get on the internet, that they have no access to anything else. And that, I would highly recommend that you enable guest Wi-Fi, give it a name, give it a simple password, but enable that on your Wi-Fi system. Even your internet service provider's router will likely have that feature, and it might just need turned on.
Yeah. And you can provide access to that guest network via the traditional, SSID password, or you can set up a QR code. You can set time limits for, like, I only want this device to have access to our network for, a couple of days, if that, or hours, if so. But just think of this. It's like somebody bringing an absolutely filthy, I don't, just the most disgusting thing over, and they want to bring it into your house. You don't have any idea what is on or in that. You have no idea where that device has ever been. And it could be the most disgusting piece of electronic device ever, and you don't want on your network at all. So it's real easy to set up a guest network. It protects your network with that security, like G was saying, and it improves privacy. And it also allows for bandwidth control. It doesn't bog down your main network. It keeps those secondary devices off the network. You got a neighbor and they want your Wi-Fi password. You give them your guest network, and then it just gives them contemporary. It just gives them access just for a limited amount of time. It doesn't give them access for eternity. Which you never want to do. But yeah, those are the two questions that we got for those listeners. I mean, those are great questions.
Yeah, keep them coming. Again, just use our social media platforms, the comment sections, and email digitalrambleshow@gmail.com. Ask the questions, ask the home tech pros, and we will provide you the answers you need.
Gamble, this week we sent out a bunch of guest requests. We got some people lined up that we had talked to these past couple of weeks that we're really excited about the time and energy that you and I have invested in the Digital Ramble show.
We have a scheduling headache coming up because they all said yes.
And what's cool is that they're all friends with each other too in the industry, and friends with us. And so if you are somebody that would like to be on the Digital Ramble show, please hit us up on our email address, digitalrambleshow@gmail.com. Some other places that Gamble and I frequent, or the place that we frequent on a regular basis, is on Telegram. Join us on Telegram. We are always posting unique tech finds that we're seeing and things that we find extremely interesting to us on a daily basis. We're in there on a regular basis. So if you really want to be in communication with us and have a pulse on what's rolling through our minds on a daily basis, join us over on Telegram.
Yeah, that's a good place to get direct access to us. It's a place where we hang out a lot. So Telegram, certainly seek out the Digital Ramble. And we'll put links on our Instagram story so you can just link straight out to Telegram, and there'll be links in the description for this as well. The guests that we've got coming up, I'm just going to tease, JJ. We have got some of the most talented women in home tech, in smart home, in design coming on the show. They could be returning guests. We do like to have people come back and tell us their latest news. We have got some talent coming on the show very soon.
Well, that
The production level.
music, ladies, a smart home episode getting ready to be cooking. Talking about everything smart home. Man, those ladies, what I love about it is their eye on design. They're yin to our yang. They're able to put sense to our chaos. They are much needed in our space, and I'm excited to talk to those ladies out there. And hey, for those that don't know, if you don't know, ask a home tech pro.
I'm going to have to put a coin in the meter. This off-grid office, it can't handle 1 hour episodes, JJ. See you next week, guys.
Woo!